Hey everybody, my name's Carter Billings with Western Crowns Performance Horses. This is Barley. He's a 2-year-old that I own, and just gonna put a ride on him and see what we can work out. He's probably gonna be a little bit fresh today. It's in the low 30s, but we'll kind of just ride him around and feel him out a little bit, and then we might pull out a cow and track it around a little bit. I believe Barley's only been on a cow one time, so there's still a lot we can show in the beginning stages there. Just gonna trot some circles here and kind of warm him up. I can feel he's pretty distracted and tight from the cold and cattle over here in the corner, so I'm just gonna see if I can get him locked onto some small little circles here. I'll kind of hold him in there until he's looking in where I want him, and then let him release here. He straightened out and wanted to leave that circle, so I'll just put my inside leg on him and draw his nose back to the center and just keep repeating that until he kind of gets locked up. He's already feeling a little more relaxed. This is an exercise that I do on these 2-year-olds almost every day. It's a good way to just get them concentrated and make them responsible for staying on task. You can see his shoulders leaning in a little bit there. He found some cadence with his feet right here. So now right here he's starting to get locked in. He's looking to the inside. This inside hind foot could reach underneath him probably a little bit more. Right there, feels really nice and relaxed. He's reaching up and stepping his hip underneath himself and driving forward. That front foot is stepping across, and he's locked onto the circle here, and we'll go ahead and just let him straighten out for a couple steps and switch directions. I like to add those steps in between just to kind of create some distance in the train of thought, make it clear change in our expectations as far as what we're asking them. So again, this is just my inside leg is asking his rib to bend and his hip to kind of step up underneath himself, and then I'm drawing his front end in with this inside rein. Right there, he's kind of found a little bit of cadence. His head's getting nice and low there. There he feels a little bit more locked on, so we'll go ahead and change the directions again. Right there, his head still a little bit higher than I would want, but it didn't elevate during the change. That's just kind of where his head was set to begin with. Right now he's traveling around again and kind of locked in the circle. His head's nice and low. He's relaxed through his body. I don't feel any tension in his ribs, which is a really good sign, especially with how cold it is. And then here, that was a good transition there. He kind of is a little less comfortable to the right. I'm sure you can see his head kind of carries a little bit more elevated this direction. But there we go. He kind of found some cadence there and got relaxed. So I'm just gonna love on him for a second. That's a good warm-up exercise and something that I just kind of do a lot throughout the ride. Anytime there's anything that makes him want to get elevated in his mind or with his feet, adding speed where it's not wanted. I'm just gonna kind of do something real similar here, but with this bigger circle here. Right here, he wants to carry down and get distracted by the cow, so I'm just gonna pull him back over here and shape him up a little bit and just trot some of these little bit bigger circles. come out here and change direction a little bit. Just get him relaxed and balanced on his feet. He wants to kind of lean in here when I steer him over a little bit, so I'm just going to keep driving him forward with my legs. Keep bringing him in here. My inside leg is giving him a little bit more pressure, kind of asking his shoulders to stand up a little bit. There, he's kind of stood up, but he's still just kind of leaning and feeling. So here, the way he's wanting to lean, every time I feel him lean somewhere, I'm just going to change his directions. He's real interested in these cows. Pick him up and move him over here and just keep him balanced. A little bit wanted to swing his hip out right there, so I'm just going to add a little bit more forward motion there, ask him to move forward with my legs as I change this direction. I want the first thing going through these turns to be his nose. Just like a train going around a bend in the tracks. We've got to lead from the front and let the rest follow. So right here, he's kind of leaning on my foot. He's not getting kind of tight and leaning in. So I'm just going to kind of hold this, keep him moving forward till he kind of stands himself up, gets a little bit more balanced. Bring this outside rein into the play here just a little bit to help drive that shoulder around. There, he found some balance. I'm going to let him travel. Do my best to not get too worked up over how these 2-year-olds are feeling, especially on these colder days. Gonna just kind of push him to the outside here, get him off my inside foot. Just to kind of, right here, he wants to keep ignoring me for these cows, so I'm just gonna come over here where he wants to be and move his feet around and let him know that even though he wants to be over here, there's more work. So I'm just gonna keep this direction changing, keep him driving up. Maybe here we'll roll him back in the fence. He got real tight there. So I'm gonna just ask for him to get soft on this rein. Keep his feet moving here until he gets soft and comfortable. There, he softened up. Drive him forward again, away from these cows, and just kind of relax my body. Ooh. Barley has about 60 days on him. He's been a real easy one to start. Really willing to learn. Takes pressure pretty good. Kind of been working on getting some cadence in his feet. Right here, I'll pull him in the circle and drive that hip around. Right here, we'll rock back and come through that turn. I've been doing that on him here for, I guess, about a week now. Get that pressure rolling back, send his front end across, release him there. He gets a little bit tight on the right side going through there, and I'm just trying not to make a big deal out of it. I think that a lot of his uncoordination in his feet getting a little tight up right there. It's just going to come from doing it. He wants to get tight right here in his front end. I'm going to keep him moving forward and just driving and following this nose here. Send those front feet across again. This is a point where a lot of people have the opportunity to go down one of two paths. The way that I see it is you can put the pressure to them and say, hey, get your front feet moving and find it quicker maybe, and add a spot of, there's a spot there where you'll have a lack of confidence if you ask too much of them too soon. Or the other path is to just slow it down and let him try it a few times. I know he can do the maneuver well because he does it to the left pretty good. Like I say, we've only been doing this for about a week. So I'm not going to get too frustrated with him where he's finding a lack of coordination in his feet, getting a little bit tighter there. I will bump him off my hand, but I'm not going to try and really push him through that turn. I'm just going to try and get him used to my leg being there. I'm going to leave this outside leg in there, driving him across. That was a lot better. He got relaxed in his shoulder and he moved away from the pressure instead of trying to lean into me. I'm not going to try and get in a fight with him there. You know, we're only 60 days in, so none of this is about speed. This is just about these horses being comfortable doing these maneuvers and learning to do something more than move forward. So now I'm just going to kind of push these shoulders across here, and I'm going to let him finish the way there to the left. So as I pick up this right rein and we're kind of counter bending here and driving this shoulder across, if I get a few good steps, I'm just going to let him keep coming across that way and just reinforce that that I want him to move away from the pressure on my leg. And then that same pressure from the counter bend there brings him into this spin. And I'll drive him back out. You can get in a bind. Me and my boss were just talking about this not too long ago, about getting in a bind about introducing some of this stuff too early. Because we don't want to introduce this counter bend and then every time we pick up our inside rein, they want to move away from it. So you really want to make sure your horse is secure in their ability to follow their nose before you start adding too much of that counter bending. Right here, get him looking through. We'll pick this rein up, get his weight back on his butt, bring the front end across. I'm not too worried about his front feet here, whether that outside foot, which that last time there would have been his left foot, this time it'll be his right. But I'm not too concerned with whether that outside foot is stepping across underneath or over. I'm more worried about the position of this inside foot here. If you watch right here when I pick this inside rein up, I want that inside foot to come. I'm just going to wait on him here. That inside foot is the first thing that moves. Like I say, he's a little more resistant to the right, so the fact that he just picked that foot up and opened up with it is still in the right direction. So I'm not going to get greedy and expect the same out of both sides. But right here, this rein is attached to his front feet right there. I pick this rein up and that inside foot is the first thing that comes. I want it to draw back right there under my foot. And that same thing is going to apply as you have this forward motion for these spins. I'm going to drive them forward. I want these feet to follow that rein. Right there. I could have probably asked him to go around there more, but what I really want him to understand the reward is for that coordination in his feet, that relaxed feeling through his body, and maybe getting less out of him, but quitting sooner is going to make that a whole lot more consistent. You can see how relaxed this horse is. He's let down, he's sniffing the ground, his head's below his withers. I'm just going to come back and ask this front end to start coming. And that was a lot more relaxed. You know, there's still a little bit of resistance in his neck there, but nothing too crazy. It was a lot lighter than some of the maneuvers we were doing at first. We'll kind of just move him around again. Ooh, little bunny hop there. On these 2-year-olds, I do a lot more at the trot than I do at the lope, but you still gotta get into this gear and let it test out. I'm not gonna ask too much of them here. I've only loped him two other times this week. I've been focusing on some other stuff since it's been so cold. But I want to get in here and just get him right there, nice and relaxed. Looking to the inside, not trying to run off. There. I'm not gonna pull him down here, you know, he's got to just get comfortable riding around. So I'm not gonna try and pull him down or fight him when he goes faster than I want. I might pull him in here a little bit tighter, change direction. And right now my body's relaxed. As he gets tighter, I'm gonna add my legs into him and drive him forward. I'm gonna change direction here and tighten this circle up until he's driving under there. He got round in his back and was driving underneath himself. Right now he wants to get a little quick again. That's all right. I'm gonna put my legs back on him. Steer him to the inside here, tighten the circle up. I'm driving hard with my outside leg, saying, hey, reach out in front of you and drive across with your front end. Drive your butt up underneath you. There. Now he kind of came down to a trot there and relaxed, but that's okay, you know. Well, I want these horses to understand that my legs don't mean you need to be afraid of the pressure or to get away from me or to speed up, you know, really. I want these horses to use my legs coming into contact with them as an excuse to kind of come back to me and think a little bit. Here, I'm just relaxed. He's wanting to kind of drift to the outside. I got my inside leg on him to kind of create this shape. My outside leg on to keep him driving forward. He wants to kind of lean here, so I'm going to hold him in the circle. He wants to dive his shoulder in and make this circle smaller. I'm going to let him, and it's a lot more work for him to lope in here. When he wants to stand up and travel somewhere, then we'll let him. Right here, he wants to keep just leaning. I'm not kicking on him or making a big deal about it. I'm just letting his idea be the harder idea. So he wants to just keep leaning. We'll just keep loping right here. There he stood up, so we'll let him travel. I'm kind of relaxing my body, just riding him hard enough to keep him moving. He's kind of leaning in and leaning out, so I'm gonna just kind of lope some straight lines here. Change direction and travel in a straight line. As soon as he leans, I'm gonna drive him forward again and ask him to go somewhere. As soon as he leans, bring him back in and we're traveling. He wants to lean in, drive him up. Now we'll travel. Oh, good. I haven't worked on their stops with any of these 2-year-olds a whole bunch yet. That's just kind of the natural result of making sure we're really driving these horses around as we ride and letting them come down with us and reading my body on the way down. There was no real tension in the reins there. Just enough for me to feel contact in my hands and let him come down with me. Wasn't worried about how fast he stopped or anything like that, just that he got stopped. And that's kind of about what some of my dry work on these 2-year-olds looks like on these colder days. I like to keep these rides a little bit shorter. No need to get them sweaty or breathing too hard and get sick. Come back and maybe do something light, keep them focused and cool them down a little bit, really drive that hip around, bring that front end across. Come back to the other side, same deal, kind of really get that hip driving under. Let them come back and come through. And that's what some of this dry work on these 2-year-olds is going to look like. Like I say, he's got about coming up on 60 days, and he's been a real nice animal to start. And we'll see you guys next time.